Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Registry Talk. Today, we're going to be talking with Jason, and he's going to be telling us about his experience, his life on the sexual offense registry. Now, we're going to ask Jason a lot of different questions. We're going to talk to him about, his life before he was incarcerated, his life after, and how the registry has been affecting him. So, Jason, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
So today, I'm blessed. I've always been a little more blessed than I think I deserve. I have a great job. Um, my boss, he called me and he told me, he said, somebody called me a couple of days ago and offered to buy my business, but do you know why I told him no? He said, because I don't want you to have to go through trying to find a decent job, making the money that you make with me, with anybody else. He's he's aware of my situation, and he has always had my back. I couldn't ask for a better boss. Relationships, I am talking to somebody right now. In fact, she's talking about moving out here. When I got kicked out the other house, I had a friend who I met from prison, and he actually had a house in the same area where I was living at before, and he offered to let me stay here rent free until I get back on my feet. So, um, you know, God has a way of blessing you after something tragic. My sister always said there's always a rainbow at the end of a trial or at the end of a rain shower. And you hate going through it because your anxiety, stress, your worries, especially as a sex offender, because our worries are multiplied by 10. So I was raised by a single mother. We lived in New Orleans. We didn't have much. She worked as a bartender most of her life, and um, it was, as a child, I didn't see anything wrong with it. Of course, the kids made fun of me for shopping at Thrift City and wearing clothes that wasn't up to par with the style. But I can't say that I had a bad childhood. My mom did. She worked her bones off to raise me. And, when I got to middle school, she wanted to move out of a certain part of New Orleans because it was bad. So she wanted me to have a better education. So we moved to Metairie. Um, then after that, after I graduated high school, during high school, I joined ROTC, Air Force ROTC. She always pushed me to go to the Navy. But since I joined high school and I joined the Air Force ROTC, I knew everything about the Air Force. So that's why I decided to join the Air Force after high school. And after high school, I went to the Air Force and studied computer communications. I was medically discharged. I had surgery on my foot, so came back home with medical discharge, and then I started going to college. And I went to college for a couple of years to study. I wanted to get my computer degree, and that was during the time when I started the downfall of getting into things that I shouldn't have, which led to my arrest. What happened was during my time in jail, I met a person who helped me throughout my incarceration, and he was the one that helped me get into the 600 Garden Roadhouse. So when I was discharged from prison, I went to that house first, and I was welcomed with open arms. I mean, it was one of those things where it was an approved address because you can't get out of jail unless you have an approved address. Um, my sister, she's always been behind me. That's my family right now because my mom passed away in 2014. So my only family is my sister. So she welcomed me with open arms. She wished that she was living down here so she could help me. So the way that I got the job that I'm at now is a friend of mine who I actually knew before I went to jail. We grew up together, and he had a bunch of run-ins with the law as well. So he was working for a company, and he told me, he said, as soon as I come home, he was going to have a job waiting for me because he was one of the managers at the particular business that I work at. And sure enough, I got home December 8th, December 9th, I was working. Now, obviously, getting reacclimated after serving 19 years was a challenge because when you serve that much time, you come home, you're on pins and needles. You don't know what to expect. So when you hear cop cars, when you see the police at your house, I have all kinds of stories about how there was even a SWAT team there one night, and I was coming home from a friend's house because there was a guy living at the house who had done armed robbery. So, when I walked through, I started going through things. I'm like, oh Lord, they're here for me. What did I do wrong? You start thinking about, all right, let me see, was I here at a particular time? What did I? So I mean, those things are the issues that I dealt with. When I went to Burger King, I didn't know how to use the machine to do a cold drink. It was just it's little things of trying to get reacclimated to society. But you're right. I mean, the biggest issue for me was not being scared. While I was in Louisiana, the restrictions were a lot. So, when I walked into the sheriff's office to register, obviously they laid out 7 pages worth of stuff, and it basically, said everything from Halloween night you have to be in at 5 o'clock. You can't decorate during Halloween. Can't go to parks. Can't be around parks, playgrounds, any place that a child is at. You can't live around, be around and stuff like that. So first thing I ask is, well, interstates pass by schools and stuff like that too. What am I supposed to do? Go around them? And he goes, no, I'm more concerned about you standing on the corner handing out candy than you are passing by it.
Now, all of this, Jason, was while you were on your incarceration, post-incarceration supervision, correct?
Correct. Okay. But where I live today, I don't have to worry about doing the classes every month. They don't have the classes here. The restriction as far as where I can and cannot live is bigger now. So in Louisiana, it was 1,500 feet. Where I live now, it's 3,000 feet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have to go to see the parole officer every 2 weeks to go see them. I have to go to to re-register with the sheriff's department or the Department of Public Safety every 90 days.
So is that going to be for the rest of your life? Is there a period of time that you're on supervision?
So I'm on parole supervision until next year.
Okay.
But of course, the sex offender registry is for life. Okay, so my struggles with the supervision or the registry comes with residents. So my biggest thing is I hate the fact that this residential restriction is there, because there's a lot of nice houses that I could have gone into, but because it was 1,200 foot from a playground, or here it was 2,500 foot from a playground, I had to look elsewhere. It's a struggle because when you have friends and family to come over, they want to do these things. If they want to have a barbecue in the park, can't go there, even if it's a park that's not even around a jungle gym set. It's just it's those little things. It's like I know that we're paying for a crime that we did, and I'm not trying to justify anything like that, but there comes a point in life where, in my mind, you have to give a person a second chance, to live a meaningful life. And this registry doesn't ever allow that. There's no forgiveness or no chance to rise above to show them that we can be productive citizens despite all the good things that we do along the way. There's nobody that wants to hear that, because society sees us as monsters. So I went through the process of purchasing a house. Once I did, I alerted the authorities, because they have to approve you before you move. So I alerted the parole office in Louisiana. Then I alerted the parole office in the place that I was heading to. And once both of them approved me, I then went to the sheriff's office, because that's the next step in the whole process. The sheriff's office then ran the address again to make sure that it was approved. And then that's where I registered. I then went to the parole office and registered with them, got all the paperwork straight, was living happily there for 2 months. And like I said, I purchased a house. Everything was going good. She told me that, community notification would be going out. So I'm like, all right, well, it's part of life, so cool. Well, 2 days after community notification went out, I then received a letter from the sheriff's office saying that I had 30 days to leave my house because they found a playground that it was in the back of the subdivision. So I you know, of course I was freaking out and scared and shaking. And I asked her to tell me where it was at. So I went and looked at this playground, and it was literally a jungle gym set and a gazebo next to this house. No signs, nothing that signifies that this is a playground. And I try to tell her that, hey, 3 legal agencies approved me. How is it that, you know, and I bought the house. It's not somewhere I'm renting or staying with my parents. How all of a sudden can, you know, you after 3 legal agencies come back and tell me that I had to get out of my house? She said, well, it's ultimately up to you to stay in compliance. You have 30 days to get out of the house, or we're going to issue an arrest warrant. So, you know, of course, for 2 weeks, I'm broken, anxiety through the roof, stress through the roof, because I had no place to go to. I reached out to several people, and, you know, graciously they reached back to me, offering encouragement and any kind of help that they could. But, you know, it's hard, you know, because I'm sure I'm not the only story like this, and I get that. But it was really, really tough for me during that time. So my future, I'd love to get my MBA. I'd love to get that. That has been a dream of mine for a while. And when things kind of settle down again, I plan on chasing that. Again, I'm looking to own a piece of property that I can call my own. And if I do happen to buy this place, this will be the place that I actually build. And it's kind of like a flip my house type of deal where I'm going to build it to my specs. I'd love to, you know, have a family one day, to where I can have my own children in this house and leave a legacy to them despite what I've been through. This is what you can accomplish if you put your mind to it.
I really appreciate you taking time, you know, to talk to me and to tell your story. It is a brave proposition to do that, and it is appreciated. That brings us to the end of this video. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next video.
This is Brenda Jones, Executive Director of NARSOL. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, check out our other Lives on the Registry videos. If you want to know more, visit narsol.org and check out the Resources tab. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for future notifications. See you again soon.